But let's get into what everybody really likes about these shows, and that's the Ask the Mayor segment.
Absolutely.
And we've got some interesting ones this week. As always, if you have a question for the mayor and maybe you can't make it out to a event like a Meet the Mayor at Bon Air Park, just leave in a comment below. Leave in a comment on this video right into the Kokomo post on Facebook or Instagram. And like I said, we usually put something out on Monday mornings asking people for questions for the show. So there's really no excuse to not be able to send your question in. And if it's a good enough question, we'll put it on the show. Let's get into it.
All right.
Richard from Facebook wants to know, how do we engage the residents to form a more unified Kokomo with stronger community bonds? Interesting question.
How do we engage? Continue to have community events. I believe and support those, because even though they may be centered around a concert or music or something, I mean, those that may be different in personality, have the same likes. I mean, that could be a good way to do that. I know from the state of the city, starting kind of not necessarily a city campaign or citywide campaign and such, but working to make the community safe, stable, and healthy. Hopefully to get folks around that. So continuing to plan events geared around those three concepts. But no, I guess if he's got ideas, we're always open to ideas. I mean, there's so many things going on in the community, whether it's a benefit walk, whether it's the River Walk concert series, whether it's the summer concert series in the park, the Coco Go bikes. There's all kinds of things going on. Tons and tons of churches in town as well that do a great job bringing folks together as well. So I guess if he's got ideas, give me a call, 456-7444, or shoot me an email at mayor@cityofkokomo.org, and set a time to come in, or again, just drop some ideas and we'll get on and see if we can make it happen.
Yeah,
Always
my family and I, we live over in like the Forest Park area, and we had like what would you call a block party?
Block party.
Earlier in the summer, someone, I think Patty Thatcher, got it together and, said our neighborhood needs to get closer. And, they threw a block party. I think the city actually partnered with it, and like they blocked off so we actually had like an actual blocked off block party where, there was some food that was out there. People brought some chairs and just sat in the middle of the streets and just met with their neighbors and communicated. And like, there were so many people that live really close to me that honestly, I had no idea lived really close to me. Which is crazy. I mean, I think I've said this before. I'm not the most fun person. I like I go to work and I come home, and that's really the extent. Yeah, I'm not a fun person.
You are a fun person.
Maybe if I'm at work or at my home, but like I don't go out and do stuff. Like I just don't for some reason. I'm horrible about it. But going to that event helped, so I got to meet a lot of people that I didn't know lived close to me and stuff like that. So maybe if he lives in some sort of neighborhood like that, organize a block party.
Now, I know you mentioned the city partnered with them. We wouldn't partner in the sense that, set up whatever, but yes, if folks do want to have neighborhood or block parties,
just to make the streets safer,
there is a process, to go that you can request through the traffic commission to have certain sections of streets or even alleyways and such blocked off.
Yeah.
For that, again, as you mentioned, for security.
Great,
so
honestly,
love to do it.
I hope they do that every year. I think that'd be a fun annual summer event.
I think my kid crashed it.
Really?
My youngest, yeah.
Nice. Well, we were welcoming neighborhood there over there. All right. So the next question is from Paula on Facebook. We have a major drug issue in our community. How, as a community, can we fix this issue? I walk my dog and come upon used drug needles often, especially in the area over by the mall. Can we get more improvements in the area by the malls along the railroad tracks over this way? Not sure if improvements or such could help in this area or not, but I figure if we improve our community starting on the outside, we can work on the inside at the same time. I also have concerns over lack of ambulances available. How can we use those as a community, or how can we as a community work on these issues? Paula on Facebook. So a lot of questions. The first one was the drug problems in our community, as well as the ambulance. So you can go through those.
Yeah. So drugs, definitely an issue, and has been, sometimes or lately appears that may be more of an issue than before, because fortunately, I say fortunately, but as we continue to add numbers to the police department, we're able as a department to be more proactive versus reactive. And so what they're discovering or what they're addressing are following up on leads and securing or I guess taking care of those offenders, before it becomes more of an issue. Now, those that are experiencing addiction and mental health issues, I know we've got a handful of new facilities available for city recovery. There's the one on North Street as well, and Valley of Grace that is in process of opening. So there are organizations that are starting to provide more services to try and alleviate that and give the assistance that those folks need. But as for finding needles and sharps and other paraphernalia along the trails and such, I know a few episodes back we had somebody ask about the parks, about maybe having secured needle deposits, in the parks or even along the trail. So, I mean, that's still a possibility of consideration. But again, looking at how to safely secure those to prevent any break-in there. But as she mentioned, over by the mall area, improvements, I don't know if she was meaning streets or sidewalks or bringing more businesses, more activity that brings more attention to those areas, so that the riffraff is kind of discouraged from being in those areas. But as we go area to area throughout the city, streets and sidewalks, obviously,
sure,
those keeping those up, repaired, up to speed, allows folks to get around safer. Just gives everybody a sense of more appreciation for their neighborhoods and such. So we'll get around to those, playing catch up, if you will, because there's quite a bit in the city. But
it sounds like, and I'll kind of a follow up on this. It sounds like there's a lot of things in motion or already existing for people that are maybe wanting to get clean from drugs, or maybe they've decided, like, I have a problem, I need help. Like you said, you have Turning Point in that situation. You have like a few organizations, for people there. What can we do to prevent people from even getting drugs in the first place?
Right.
Like, what does that look like? So we don't have people where they're at a point of like, oh my gosh, I need help, but more of like, I don't need to get started in the first place. Is that a police effort? Hacking down on drugs, the selling of drugs more. How do we get it to where that process doesn't even start for someone to become addicted?
Right. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that it is, as we continue to add bodies and be more proactive as a police department, to send a message to those that bring the drugs into our community that, hey, we won't tolerate it. I mean, we've got an active stance against it. A lot of it even into the schools. I mean, so having the good relationship that the police department has with Kokomo schools and the sheriff's department with some of the county schools, the student resource officers that are stationed in those schools, having them on a more regular basis form that relationship, that bond with the students, to try and prevent them from heading down the wrong path. So I think and I didn't want to say that to belittle the organizations that are existing now, not saying they don't matter. But obviously you cut the snake off, or the head off the snake is a lot better, trying to solve the problem before it even begins is a great thing, especially when it comes to drug problems, because it's fantastic. There are some people in this community doing amazing things to help people that are in that position. So much more than a lot of other communities, not only in Indiana, probably around the entire country. There are some amazing people doing amazing work for people that are suffering with addiction. But I mean, if we could figure out how to stop it from the beginning, that'd be an amazing thing. So her second part of her question was the ambulances. So
which this has been a topic for years,
right? The hospitals both have recently added an additional truck or an additional ambulance to their fleet, and fortunately the incidence of or reports of no medics available has reduced, but it still exists, and that can happen. I mean, we could have an ambulance out of every fire department. We could have, a third independent company providing, services as well. And there are going to be times when there will be no medic available due to a transport, due to multiple accidents, due to situations. And so, I know there has been a lot of talk about bringing the ambulance service back to the fire department, or at least an ambulance, because again, both hospitals still do a bang-up job as best they can to provide that services. And with the assistance of Greentown and Rushville and Galveston, we try not to rely on them that often, and many times do. A lot of that's going to come down to manpower. When we're still working on getting the fire department built back up, because really where they are now is probably right at where they need to be, maybe a few short of just how they feel the adequate fire protection coverage for the city should be. And so in order to add just one ambulance, we would need 6 to 8 more firefighters. And so working the budget out to add those firefighters later, while still adequately manning the departments themselves becomes an issue. And really, because both hospitals have taken up that aspect, back in the day when the city was the primary provider of that, that's where I think a lot of folks' heads are, is that why can't we bring it back? It's not, unfortunately, as simple as, hey, we've got an ambulance, it's manned, now it's part of the fleet. They got to have the staffing as well.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So we're getting there.
Next question is from Samantha on Facebook. My street in Bon Air neighborhood had 3 black boxes on poles this weekend. I assume to monitor traffic. Yet people blow through the stop signs over here daily. I live next to a school and a park. I've called to ask to have patrols monitoring over here, yet nobody has ever come to do so. A kid will be hit at some point if something isn't done.
She is probably right.
So the black boxes,
but the black boxes, yes. A lot of those are traffic counts for potential work that needs to be done on any particular street, or to monitor speeds and traffic at particular intersections that may need a stop sign, may need to remove a stop sign, or consider changing the speed limit through a particular area. But yes, just like anything else, speed is an issue in every neighborhood. We get phone calls quite a bit that various streets do have a lot of activity, and there's concern. But as we continue to, once again, add police to the department so that they can get out and be more proactive and have more on the street, then we can do direct patrols. It's not that she's being ignored, or that that there isn't an officer sent to. There may have been, through there, but unfortunately, we don't have the manpower to have somebody sit and do a direct patrol for any length of time at a particular intersection or spot. Now, they do from time to time when time and efforts and resources permit, and if the situation is severe enough. But
tell me, I didn't know about these black boxes. I've probably seen them before, but they just sit on a pole and just
they're usually tied to a pole or tied to a tree. And so a few times we've gotten calls. There's a bomb strapped to a tree in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it
tracks traffic and even speed. Just all that data, and then you guys take that back and use that data. So that could probably replace what that monitoring that police officer would do. To some extent.
Well, no, because I think what she's hoping is that there's a police officer, so there's some type of presence. Yeah, so they see it and automatically slow down, or if they do blow past or are speeding, they can get pulled over.
Gotcha.
And so therein lies the problem as well. When they're there, everybody's behaving. Yeah. As soon as they go to answer a call or head somewhere else, then they're back at.
What do you suggest? Samantha, it sounds like she's called City Hall. Just to call again, maybe speak to your office. about that situation, or what should Samantha do next?
Yes, she can either call our office or make a request to the Traffic Commission to maybe have a speed study done at that particular intersection, or to see what might be considered if it is a stop sign and it is speeding or people blowing past. I mean, I don't know how else to try to change people's driving behaviors.
I'd get one of those boxes with the speedometers out there that tell you how fast you're going, because those equally terrify me just as much as a cop. Because I have the theory there's a camera in it, and I'm going to get like a ticket in the mail or something like that too. Those things work well as well. Awesome, Samantha. Just give the mayor's office or the traffic department a call. Hopefully they can get that under control
with that location.
Yeah, because it sounds like it is a severity where there's a lot of kids present. There's a school. There's a park. So. Next question is from Amanda on Facebook. Does the mayor plan to eliminate 2-tier pay for the city workers and raise second tier to first?
Wow.
I don't know what any of that means.
Well, that's an email either from a city employee that's a ASFE member or union member, contractual, or the spouse of one. And so it is my understanding that will be part of the discussion for their next contract negotiations.
Okay.
So
we're good to post this still? No one's going to get in trouble or anything?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
well, it sounded like it was insider information. I just didn't want to.
Well, I mean, it is. I mean, that's something that doesn't really affect the general public or or the services. I mean, it's the level of pay that the employees. So, I mean, the 2 tiers was something that the city union employees negotiated. I think either the last contract or a contract before we got in to office, and so it's something that their leadership had wanted at the time, but now have kind of changed their minds, I guess. I mean, so again, it's something that'll get discussed at contract negotiations.
Gotcha. So is that question assumed, or fair to assume, like they think they need to be paid more, which is who doesn't think that?
More,
I guess,
I mean, not more, but on a more level basis.
Okay.
So it was negotiated.
So when do those negotiations take place?
Theirs is next year, and then police and fire will be the year after.
Gotcha. Those are always fun times in the news.
Every 3 years.
Yeah. Next question is from Jonathan on Facebook. When are the parts of Kokomo that were annexed a few years back going to receive city amenities other than trash pickup, police presence, and snow plowing?
If they're talking about water or sewer sanitation, I guess it would depend. There are some areas that do have it, but folks weren't forced to tie on. There's a few outlying areas that we're still waiting for water service, and so that's part of what we're considering with the use of our ARP funds that we received, is looking to run those particular water and sanitation services out to some of those areas. But outside of that, hopefully they're still getting adequate police and fire coverage. So, I mean, if there's something more specific.
Would everybody have recycling?
They'd already have recycling.
They would already have recycling? Okay.
Yep, so they should have both.
Need a few more details, Jonathan, on what.
Yep, so Jonathan, give me a call. Let me know which area you may be specifically referencing, and what those particular services may be. That I'm assuming it's water.
Gotcha.
Water and sanitation.
Before we get to the next question, I do want to shout out another post partner real quick. Second to last one here on the show. This one is, my goodness, it's become easily one of my favorite places in Kokomo, Poulard's Cajun Cuisine. If you're a fan,
we talked about them last time.
Oh man, yeah, we did. If you're a fan of Cajun cuisine, red beans and rice,
like authentic Cajun cuisine,
real stuff, Poulard's is the place to go here in Kokomo. They're off of South LaFountain, behind kind of that Burger King, which what road would that be? Like LaFountain,
between LaFountain and Washington.
And yes, almost right over there. They're in the old Gordo's, actually. Maybe they'll help people get there. Really awesome owners, by the way. Ken and his wife over there. Darlene, Ken and Darlene. Ken worked at Delphi for forever. He's a brilliant engineer. He loves food, loves cooking food. All the recipes are his grandma's, like from Louisiana. They try to source as much as possible still from Louisiana. So their shrimp they're getting from Louisiana, their sausages, their andouille sausages they're getting from Louisiana. It's so freaking good. We did a Kokomo Post Tries video there not too long ago, and it's still one of my favorite videos we've done. And the sweetest owners. Ken is just this awesome, quiet, but like powerful guy in the kitchen.
Yes.
And his Darlene is just one of my favorite humans in Kokomo. I've said that for a while. She's so fun. I could talk to her for hours. So Poulard's Cajun's Cuisine, thank you for being a Kokomo Post partner. We really appreciate you guys helping us partner with positivity here in Kokomo. Awesome. Next question is from Corbin on Instagram. How has the city of Kokomo changed over the past few years, and what are you focusing on to propel Kokomo towards more success in the future?
So
We'll
how
drop
has
your
it
threes?
How has it changed in recent years? Well, I guess I don't know. I mean, if he's from out of town and back, but obviously the downtown has been transformed since. When was the stadium built? 2016 or so. I mean, so yeah, municipal stadium there. The Riverwalk that was done, a couple parking garages, which has sparked some more interest in the downtown area. 306 Riverfront, the apartments down there, Fox's. I mean, everything down in the downtown area has really taken a step in the right direction. So, wanting to continue some of the momentum with that. Hopefully, with the hotel and conference center being more like a reality.
Getting closer how you were going to word that.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, how could I work my way around that?
I'm about to drop a bomb. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was.
So wait, what? Obviously, out by 931 and 31 Championship Park has been transformed out in the Darrell Chapel Park area, and has brought in all kinds of weekend activity with the tournaments out there, and packed our hotels and restaurants and retailers along 931. So that's been very transformative. We're gonna, how to continue to take folks or Kokomo in the next direction or the next level of success. As I mentioned before, getting close to securing land for an industrial park. We need to get more diverse jobs here. The previous administration did a great job on focusing on quality of place and getting folks to live here and increase the population. Now let's give them something to do and get more jobs up here and take advantage of the 31 and interchanges and such for those possibilities. Continuing the connectivity with trails. Now that, again, with Championship Park out there, looking at some of the ballparks for additional amenities to improve the again, quality of life, quality of place, and give folks things to do. So I think a lot of what we got planned, is in the right direction.
Going on. Yeah, thanks for the question, Corbin. Next question might be my favorite. It's from Kyle on Instagram. Do you believe in aliens?
Do I believe in aliens?
Do you think we're the only ones out here?
I would have
this great big universe of ours.
I would have a hard time believing that we're the only ones in this universe. So yes, I believe in aliens. I believe in life, on other planets. Yeah, past the Milky Way.
Is that just your Marvel nerd, like really wanting it to happen?
Yeah, it's just kind of hopeful that
there's a real life
there are
Thor
others out there
somewhere.
No, the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's true.
Going around taking care of us.
Well, you heard it first. The mayor does believe in aliens. Mm-hmm. Would you ever want to meet one, or do you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, because that's a good follow up.
Oh yeah.
It's one thing to think they're out there, but also it's another thing to be like, yeah, but like, what if we wouldn't get along? You stay where you're at. I'm going to stay where I'm at. Let's keep it there.
Right, and we have that on Earth.
I guess that's true. That's called Red Sox Yankees. The next question, actually the last question of the day, is from Michelle on Instagram. How about mental health for our pediatric patients? We offer nothing in Kokomo for kids who have suicidal thoughts. I get housing the addict and helping them, but what about our children? Michelle on Instagram.
Very, very good question, and a very, very difficult I guess, issue to try and find a starting point with, in my opinion. Our schools, God love them, I mean, they do the best job they can, and I know that the counselors in each of the schools are dealing with quite a bit, and those that want to help students prepare for college, prepare for their future, don't always have the time because they're dealing with mental health issues in the schools, and so finding additional staff, additional resources there for the schools to have to be directly made available to these students. I mean, a lot of it too, trying to find ways to strengthen the families. I mean, I think a lot of it does unfortunately stem from home and what issues may be happening there. And so we as a community, if we continue to focus on the wraparound services and like you mentioned, start having block parties, neighborhood parties, get to know who your neighbors are and interact and try to get folks off of on devices and technology and get back in more interaction with folks. I think would be beneficial as well, but it's just always such a difficult place to try to decide where do we start. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, you can't rely on the schools, totally, the churches as well, but it is. I mean, I think so much gets lost anymore because, kids are able to hide behind or interact on their handheld devices and such, and social media, in my opinion, sometimes can be the devil's playground because
Sure.
they go there and they're seeing the Snapchats, and who's doing this and who's doing that, and I don't know, having a hard time comparing themselves or keeping up with the Joneses and such.
Sure.
As a teenager, it's
being
hard
a teenager,
enough.
already was a hard job. Now throw in a device where everybody looks perfect all the time. It doesn't make it any easier.
Right.
I mean, honestly, and adults struggle with that as well. That's not just a kid problem. It's hard. That they have this conversation with policing as well.
Right.
A police officer should also not have to be worrying about something a social worker would have to be worrying about. It's the same conversation with teachers. Teachers are there to teach.
Right.
There are so many thoughts and ideas of what teachers should also now be responsible for, and they barely have time to do what they're doing to educate the kids in the classroom. And God bless school counselors these days, because I just don't think it's getting easier as time goes on. And honestly, you have just the conversation of mental health becoming so much less taboo as well, that it's kind of like what you were saying with the police. The more cops we have, the more things that are going to be shown that we're finding going wrong in our communities because there's more cops to prove it. The same way. I mean, kids are becoming less and less embarrassed of mental health problems because it's becoming less and less taboo. But with that comes, there's more people that need help.
They need help.
I mean, every school should probably have more than one counselor.
So fortunately, the conversation continues. I mean, about that. I mean, people trying to find solutions, trying to find ways to help. And just as you mentioned about the amazing people in our community helping with addiction and stuff, there are so many amazing people in our community, trying to find ways to help both teenagers and adults, again, as you had referenced, with their mental health issues. And so, I mean, that's the best way. And you just pick one to help.
Just be nice.
Just be nice.
Check in on your friends. You never know what they're going through. And I think that's one of the biggest things a community could provide for one another, is just constantly caring for people, wanting the best for people. And I mean, there's just been so many times I randomly texted somebody, or someone texted me when I needed it. And you never know. What people are going through. I mean, I remember last year we had all the COVID stuff going on, which we still do, but I mean, it was definitely at heightened last year, as well as a lot of people suffer from seasonal depression. I'm one of them. I don't do well in winter, and I was terrified of like those two things coming together at the same time: the stress of COVID, the seasonal depression stuff all happening.
And you weren't alone.
And that's one of the most powerful things you can learn. I told Aaron for a long time, we don't do it enough. I don't live by my actual rule, but I think a double date is one of the most healthy things for
Amen,
a couple,
brother.
because you get to see another couple in action and learn that they fight over the stupid same stuff you do. And it's just a moment of you're not alone, you know, and mental health is a big topic of that as well. And, you know, if you're watching this and you feel like you're feeling away, trust me, you're not the only one feeling that way. And, the only way through it is, you know, by talking and communicating with a professional or a friend or something like that. But yeah, went off on a tangent, but yeah, I mean, it's tough for kids.
Yep.
As a father of a second grader in a kindergarten, I'm already starting to see my second grader come home and be hurt by some things some kids said. And one, it makes me want to strangle a stranger's kid because don't talk to my kid that way. But two, I'm like, man, they are in second grade.
Second grade.
It's only begun and they don't have phones yet. And like, the fact that my daughter tells me that some of her friends do have phones in second grade blows my mind, but it's a lot, you know, and I don't know what the big strategy is, but just love each other, check in on each other, have a community that you can go to and be in, as much as possible and care for each other. That's my strategy there. Awesome. So that was the Ask the Mayor segment. Thank you for sending in those questions. Like I said, if you ever have questions, just leave a comment on this video or really any way you can get a hold of the Kokomo Post on our website, kokomopost.com, which we're always putting out great content over there, or on our Facebook page or Instagram page. You can email us. You know, any way you can get a question to us, that'd be great. We love answering these questions, love doing this segment.